Hey guys, this is Lawrence of the Ketones and Coffee Podcast. Make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any of this great content.
I'm so excited for this, guys. Stick around because our guest today is a health and fitness coach, an author, and a speaker. He is the creator and founder of the Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness, helping people with their overall health and fitness to improve quality of life and physical freedom consistently and sustainably. He has numerous certifications guiding and training people in the health and fitness industry for over a decade. He has written a book titled The Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness Book, the complete guide to optimizing keto for a better quality of life. He has also spoken in multiple conferences talking about his journey and passion for helping people in reaching levels of health and fitness you never thought possible. I'm so excited for this. I'm here with Coach Bronson Dant. Coach, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Can you record that and send it to me? Because that was like the best intro. I like that.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's a compliment coming from you, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time today, man. Appreciate you. When I sent you a message, you were so willing to share your story on, man. So it's just pleasure to have you on, man.
I appreciate it. I like what you're doing. I saw you had Danny Vega on the other day. I was like, hey, wait a second. I know that guy.
Yeah,
I was surprised when you sent me a message. It's like, hey, this is kind of cool. All right, I like this. And I like what you're doing with basic keto and everything else too. So it's good.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And congratulations on the release of your book a few months ago. And how has that been? Talk about, that few months. What has the few months been like for you since that launch of the book?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, the feedback has been fantastic. I'm still working on doing things to try to get, push the numbers and try to get it. I want it to be a bestseller like every author does. Who knows if that'll ever happen, but the feedback has been good. I'm actually working on translating it into Spanish, translating it into Dutch. Got some people that have said, hey, we want to get it into our markets. So it's been a very positive experience. A lot of work on the front end, but I'm kind of just enjoying the process of getting it out and talking to people about it, because it's getting people to ask questions, because I'm a little of a rebel when it comes to health and fitness. In the health and fitness space, ketogenic is not the norm.
Yes.
Even within the ketogenic space, in the nutrition space, I look at things a little bit differently that kind of goes against a lot of the common methodology. So I wanted the book to make people ask questions and kind of dig deeper into why things are working or why they're not working, as opposed to just, this is the way. Right? We're not Mandalorians, so we can do things different ways.
Yeah, and I love how you started your book too with mindset, and that's around my area. Just starting to we'll dig deeper on that, because for me the power of what book does is incredible. In my journey, and I love that you've written a book about keto and fitness. It's the ultimate tool to help an area of your life that you want to improve. And this book talks everything you need to create a sustainable, healthy lifestyle, which is the thing I'm truly passionate about, and the reason why I started the podcast. I wanted to figure out for myself, and of course share that with other people. So it's amazing to be able to have a book about keto and fitness. And the best part is, in my opinion, it's the mindset piece that you started with. I think it's brilliant that you started with that, and we'll get into into that book later on in the show. But I want to talk about your journey in a second here. I'd like for our listeners to have some context about how it all started for you. Before you started your fitness journey, I believe you were in your late 30s, and I understand that you were about 40 pounds overweight at the time. And
more than that, but yeah, about 70 pounds overweight. Yeah.
And this was before you started, and something must have clicked for you, and that changed within you, and now a decade later allowing you now to create that same change in others. So talk about that journey that led to your decision to finally make that switch, that change in lifestyle, as far back as you can take us, so we can understand how we can also create that change for ourselves.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we go back to the process again, like you said, it's all mindset. It's all stories and perception about the way that our mind works and how we look at ourselves. So I like my story is about identity. And, I grew up, I was fairly active in high school. I joined the Army right out of high school. So my perception of myself, when I graduated, when I got out of basic training, I was 185 pounds, 7% body fat. I was lean and mean and skinny, and I could do anything, and everything was great. And I just always, as I grew up, I got married, I had kids, I got out of the Army, I went into the National Guard, I got a regular job, I did the 9 to 5, I still had the 18-year-old, 185-pound, 7% active kid in my mind about who I was. So I still identified with that. I still identified as the guy who was in the military, who was a mixed martial arts coach, who was in the infantry, who used to run around with backpacks on in the woods and that was who I was. And I had a few things that happened in my life that made me realize that's not who I was. Okay. So going through the process of realizing that my identity, as I saw myself, was not the reality of my life. And the difference between the two of those things, I was left with a choice. It's either accept my life and stay where I'm at, or do something to rebuild my identity and create my life to match who I want it to be. And so I decided I'm not going to stay where I'm at. I want to recreate my life and do whatever I need to do to change so that I can be the person I envisioned myself being. I wanted to be active. I wanted to have energy. I wanted to not be depressed. I wanted to be able to do things and have the physical freedom that I didn't have. So in order to do that, I needed to get in shape. And that's kind of where I started. I started with doing things to try to get myself physically capable. I did a little bit of nutrition. Like for the first year of my journey, my only nutrition goal for the first year was to stop eating French fries. That was the first goal. I was a 2 to 3 servings of French fries a day guy at the time. And that was my first goal nutrition wise. Outside of that, it was trying to find a fitness program to try to get myself in shape, because I attributed health with fitness and the ability to do things. I've always been that way. So yeah, I started a program, didn't like that program, tried a different program, didn't like that program, went on a cruise for my 40th birthday, met a guy on the cruise who owned a CrossFit gym, saw him doing some stuff and was like, what in the world is this crazy man doing? And ended up talking to him at the gym. He showed me some stuff. We did a couple of workouts, and I just fell in love with the whole idea of what CrossFit was, not even knowing that much about it. It was just a fun workout. And joined a gym when I got back. And just that was kind of all she wrote. From there was get certified as a coach, get into learning more about fitness and what fitness was, opened up my own gym, and then just kind of went from there. So it was good.
And this was all happening. You started coaching. This was all happening within the couple of years that you've started your fitness journey. Started CrossFit. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. I started. It probably took me about 2 years within CrossFit to get certified as the first level of coaching, and then another 2 years to open my gym, and then so about 4 years total in CrossFit before I opened a gym, and then another 5 years of owning the gym. Obviously, in this whole time, I've been training and certifications and all sorts of different things. I'm a level 3 CrossFit trainer now, with a bunch of other things going in there: personal training, nutrition, weightlifting, powerlifting, strength and conditioning, all sorts of stuff. But it's really just, I feel like when I hit 40 or around my 40th birthday, the introduction and the decision to make the changes to change my life didn't just change my health and fitness. It changed my entire aspect and how I viewed my future. So the depression and the feeling of almost, I don't want to say I felt hopeless, but I didn't see myself doing more the way I was.
Yeah.
But focusing on improving my health and fitness opened up the possibility that, look, I know I'm 40. That doesn't mean my life is over. I've got things that I can do. If I can improve my health, maybe I can improve other aspects of my life too. Maybe there's other things that I could do, other goals that I can set, other things I can accomplish. And it kind of just started changing my mindset from just riding the boat to the end to trying to make something happen as long as possible.
So you started with identity, and somehow that was stopping you from creating that change. And while also your is age somehow becoming that excuse for you to work out again or to start again? Because sometimes starting again is a huge roadblock for a lot of people, right?
It is.
You've been fit. You talked about joining the army when in high school or after high school, and you've always been a fit individual
Until I wasn't.
until you weren't. And then does starting again become a roadblock for you? Because it's looking back and having to lose all of that weight. Sometimes it's better for us, for our psyche, to just give ourselves excuses to not start,
Right.
to not start again, and it becomes this huge roadblock for us because how am I able to? Because again, you're 40 years old at this point, and you have 70 pounds to lose, and that's probably a huge roadblock for many people. That's and your identity from being a fit kid, did that somehow a relief for you that you were fit before, or what? How do you process this before you started?
Yeah, well, that's where the identity piece comes in. I didn't want to live the life I was living. Period. So I didn't have. I never questioned. I'm too. The thought that I was too old to do anything never crossed my mind. The drive to get my life to match who I wanted to be and to be able to live the life that I wanted to live was the only thing I was worried about. I knew it was going to take time. I knew it was going to not be easy. I didn't expect it to happen overnight, but I knew that if I didn't do something, then I was going to be stuck where I was forever. And I just could not, the pain of staying where I was too much and way, way more than any amount of pain or discomfort from making a change. And that's what you need. You gotta really dig into what is it about your life that you want to change. And if it's something that is painful and just and uncomfortable and embarrassing or whatever the word you want to put on it is, it's got to be something that you can emotionally say, I don't want that anymore. I will do whatever it absolutely takes to make a change and make it better. And that's where I was. I was fed up. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah, and there's something in you that's not accepting that this was your reality. You have to make a change. If not, it's gonna be a lot harder for you if you did decide to make a change.
Absolutely.
You know, as the days go by, it's getting a little harder and harder.
Every day you wait makes it harder.
What did it mean for you to make that change at that point? What's the ultimate influence for you to? Was that when you met the guy on the boat?
Well, I think I already knew. I mean, like I said, I had joined. I had tried out some different programs before I went on the cruise, but CrossFit was the thing that I just connected with. It was enjoyable. It was different. It's something I'd never seen or heard before.
Yeah.
And then as I got into understanding how it works and what it's all about, it's a lot like the ketogenic diet. So we learn so many things about what fitness is supposed to be, and most of it's wrong. We learn so many things about what nutrition is supposed to be, and most of it's wrong. When I found CrossFit and started learning about what CrossFit is, the methodology and the concepts and principles that it's built on, everything about fitness just fell into place for me. All the questions I had were answered. It's just like, yeah, this is obviously the way to go. It's just kind of a clear path forward. And it's very much the same thing with the ketogenic diet. Carnivore more because that's what I started with first. But the idea of being animal-based and removing all the crap and not doing processed food and not doing a lot of plants and not doing seed oils and all these other types of things and focusing on getting nutrient-dense foods, all of the things that I learned about the ketogenic way of eating when I started digging into the science and how the body works and everything else, all of the questions and things that didn't make sense before started making sense.
Yeah.
So then from a nutrition perspective, that just kind of made a clear path forward. So when you do things, when you understand what's working and why it's working and it makes sense, then it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, that's probably the way I should go.
Yeah, and it's interesting for me. Something sparked within that when you started CrossFit. Something must have changed in your psyche that wanted you to, create this change within yourself. And now 10 years later, we're here, you're creating the same change in others. That's what I want to figure out with with people, right? What
Yeah.
would spark that for all of us, right?
Sure.
What would spark that change? Because when at that point, a lot of people would say, "Oh, I'm 40 years old, and the only way would be to, restrict calories," and that's where most of us are coming from, right? And to be able to make that change, I'll have to, get into a super restrictive diet, super intense regimen to be able to lose this many pounds. That's because when I was in a diet that's restricting calories, it's so deflating sometimes when you would have a goal for the summer, let's say, and we've grown accustomed to that because that's all we need. That's all we knew. That okay, we would have a short-term goal for the summer, and we would be on a diet for maybe a couple months. And once we reach that goal, now what?
Yeah.
It's never a lifestyle.
Yeah.
When you go into programs, it's never something that we do, for a long period of time. And that's what I want to figure out. That's why I'm interviewing people like yourself that's creating the sustainable, healthy lifestyle for you. Lifestyle, we say lifestyle, and this is a journey, and you see it as a journey as well. And figuring that out for ourselves and how to create that same spark that you found when you started this fitness journey, when you even joined CrossFit. That's what I want to envision for us too, because you had started it with something that was interesting for you. You started it with something that's enjoyable for you. Not many people would enjoy CrossFit, right? Not many people would enjoy running on the treadmill, but something spoke to you, and CrossFit did that for you, man. That's amazing.
And it's it's definitely going to be different for everybody. Everyone's going to connect with something different. I'm not saying that everyone should start with. I think everyone could start with CrossFit, but you don't have to. Just get started with something. And the motivation, I'm not even going to say that word. The driving factor that goes into why someone changes is the desire to change stronger than the desire to stay. It's that simple. So unless somebody gets to a point, if someone, and it doesn't, that's a process. That process can take years for people. The first inkling in someone's brain that says, you know what, I'm not happy where I'm at. It could be 5 years before they're ready to change something. From the first time they have that thought. Everybody's different. Everybody has different inputs. Everybody has different processes that they have to go through to defeat limiting beliefs, to believe that they can do something, to get emotionally connected to why they want to do it. And that's why I focus on the why so much, because if you can identify why you're interested in making a change, attach an emotion to that change, and then set some goals that will get you to that change, you are on a much better road forward to be sustainable and to continue to see progress on your journey.
Absolutely. I want to talk to you about how you were able to, how were you first introduced to the ketogenic way of eating?
I started with carnivore, actually, so which is still ketogenic, but I was introduced to it. Somebody sent me the link to Sean Baker's podcast with Joe Rogan. I listened to that, did some research for a few days, and then said, all right, I'll give it a shot. Let's see what happens. And I haven't looked back since. It was quick. It was quick and simple.
What were you, because it's, for many people, because when I first heard of keto, I brushed it off. It took me a couple of years to revisit for myself. And because like most people, I thought the only way to get healthy was to eat less calories while eating, greens, of course, and, and some type of movement. But there must be something in that at that point in your life that you're looking for. You're curious for something else. Is it because what your current regimen is not sustainable? Are you looking for a more sustainable lifestyle at that point?
For me, it was two things. Primarily, it was I had a lot of gut issues. I had IBS. I had urgent bowels. My life was pretty much controlled by how close I could be to a bathroom at any point in time. Traveling was hard. Pretty much any anything that I had to do in my life, if I didn't know where or how quickly I could get to a bathroom, I was not going to go to that event or trip or whatever it was. Yeah. We could go into that in too much detail, right? So there's some rabbit holes there. But it was not a very healthy way to live. I was not in good shape. So that was one thing. I needed to find a way. And I was already, when I started carnivore, I was already paleo. I was already whole foods, right? All whole foods, no sugar, very little starchy carbs. It was mostly green veggies. I was basically keto, without trying to be keto, but it was more, I wasn't trying to add fat. It was, if there was something there, like it's interesting to think about how the biggest change that I made was really just cutting out the veggies. I was still doing seed oils. I was still doing a bunch of other different things. So that was part of it. But for me, it was the bowel and the gut stuff. And then also the frustration being a fitness guy, the frustration of feeling like in order to get strong, I had to get fat. And in order to get lean, if I wanted to get ripped, then I had to get weak. I couldn't build muscle and get ripped at the same time. So the yo-yo of, okay, I'm going through a strength cycle. That means I'm going to get 10 pounds fatter, right? Or I'm going through a cut cycle. Okay, I'm going to get 20 pounds weaker on my lifts, right? Just that whole back and forth was really annoying. And, when I saw Sean Baker, who's a world-class athlete in a couple different sports, it's like, okay, this guy just eats meat and he's performing at the top level of fitness. Maybe there's something there for that. And then looking at it as an elimination diet, maybe let me try that and see if that helps my gut issues. And it was within months that my gut issues went away. And in that time, I figured out how this whole thing works. And now I'm perfectly capable, and I do it with people all the time, where they can work with people to improve their muscle mass, manage their body fat, improve their fitness without the yo-yo back and forth, up and down. So it's kind of solved all my problems.
And then what's your you're keto now?
I'm carnivore now.
Oh, you're still carnivore.
But again, so I don't like putting labels on things, right? I follow an animal-based diet, and technically carnivore is a ketogenic diet. So it's all the same, right? The principles are the same. It's just no veggies.
And when was that? And then you said only a few months after you've experienced all of these changes, your gut issues were fixed. Your what else was going on that was fixed in your life at that time?
That was the biggest thing. The gut issues were fixed. I realized at one point. So my routine, whenever I'd go on a trip or get in the car, pretty much anytime I had to get in a car, I would just in the habit of going to the bathroom first, just in case. There was always a roll of toilet paper or paper towels or a wad of napkins or something in the car in case I needed to stop somewhere. And then wherever we were going, it was, I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick just to make sure so that I could then enjoy whatever we were there for. It was a couple months till I realized, hey, every time I go to the bathroom, nothing happens. Maybe I don't need to go to the bathroom. And then it was, okay, then it was a fear of, okay, I'm not going to go to the bathroom this time for this road trip. Okay, what happens? Well, if we get stuck, well, I've got my paper towels, I've got my toilet paper in the car. Okay, let's take the trip. Nothing happened. It wasn't a problem. Okay, so then that kind of happened more and more and more and more until I realized I don't need to go to the bathroom 8 times a day just in case. I don't need to carry toilet paper and paper towels with me everywhere I go. I can get on an airplane without having to stop at every possible bathroom along the path to get onto the plane. Just all of these things. It was so liberating. It's crazy how one thing, having poor gut and bad and IBS, can just take over your life.
Yeah, and
that was the biggest thing. That's
so much freedom that comes with it too. Like if you're not, because you're basically controlled by this condition that IBS and gut issues. You're basically controlled by it, because if you're pre-planning this before you go on a trip, then it's something that's been controlling your life for all these years, and now it's gone.
And years.
And wow. And when did you add this into your coaching program?
As soon as I started realizing it was working. So I owned my gym. I sold my gym right at the end of 2019, right before COVID. Yes. And so I started carnivore May 1st, 2018. And it was by the end of 2018, I was talking to people about it and saying, hey, look, I actually wrote a small book called The Meat Life a few months after I started. I'd done a ton of research, took a bunch of notes. And there wasn't much at the time out there. So I wrote a book. You can't find it now anymore, but I wrote a book called The Meat Life. It was about 100 pages, basically just my experience transitioning into carnivore and all the information I could find at the time. There's so much more out there now, 5 years later. But I started working on it. And it's interesting because I started integrating it into my programs at my gym. And I had people leave my gym. I had people like send me emails or say to my face, like, what are you doing? You're going to kill people. There's no way that, you didn't start your business to try to hurt people. Why are you doing this? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wow. Like the vitriol and the feedback that I got from members who the week before, right, the month before, were telling me that they loved my program. I was the best coach they've ever had. I've changed their life, blah, 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 blah. And then turn around a couple months later, now I'm the worst thing ever. It was a crazy experience.
How are you processing that in your mind? Because there must be a lot of doubts in your minds. Okay.
Oh yeah.
If somebody says that to you, even if it's just one person out of the 1,000 people that you help, if it's one person, you're still gonna be, your mind's tendency is to still question, to still doubt.
Oh, absolutely. And well, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with that. You should question, right? I've been doing carnivore for 4 years. I've been doing fitness for 12 years almost now. And I still question. There are still things. You're never going to know everything. So questioning isn't a problem. Doubting is where things get into a problem. You've got to have faith that what you're doing is working because you have evidence. And this is what I looked at. I said, look, it's been working in my life for the past few months. Here's what I've been doing. I've played around and mentioned it to some people and kind of worked with some people on the side. It's worked for them. So whatever reason this person has of saying these nasty things to me because I'm doing something different than they know, I can't put that on me. That's their problem. So understanding that I'm seeing evidence in my eyeballs are recognizing that things are happening in people's lives in real life. So whether somebody understands that or not, whether someone else lashes out to me or not, because a lot of times when people lash out when it comes to nutrition or fitness, it's because they have some kind of their identity wrapped up into that lifestyle. So if you say that that lifestyle isn't the best for health, now you're saying that they're stupid, they're doing something wrong, and they feel like it's a personal attack because they've identified with that. And you have to understand and have a little bit of a thick skin and realize that they're not attacking you. They're feeling like they have to defend themselves. So you just kind of have to roll with the punches and understand that, look, my eyeballs are telling me, like the bumblebee thing, right? Bumblebees mathematically, something about they shouldn't be able to fly, but they do. So if you look at a bumblebee and say, hey, that bumblebee's flying, who cares what the math says? The bumblebee's freaking flying. And that's how I am with this. Like, I don't care if you think we need plants or whatever. I'm doing fine without it. Every single person I've worked with for the past 4 years is doing fine without it. You can be mad at me all you want. The facts are the facts.
Yeah, and absolutely. And it comes with the territory too, right? There's a lot of unlearning that needs to go on before you're able to process this information, because now we're all conditioned, from when we were younger, that certain things aren't just what we're doing now with this community, ketogenic and carnivore, is really, we have to face it. It's something that's out of the norm, like you talked about. And so you're helping a lot of people that's transitioning in this lifestyle. Many evidence that talks about reversing illness that's known as chronic. And with that evidence, I think there will be a few people that would oppose to this, but again, there's a lot of people that are out there that we need to talk to. And as we continue to speak about the topics, about keto, health, and fitness, and
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be better going forward.
Yeah.
And love that you talked about that, because there's a lot of heat that comes with it, right? There's maybe coaches out there that's just starting and are discouraged because of the feedback that they're getting,
And it's even worse from other coaches, being in the fitness space, being in CrossFit's a good example. So CrossFit is traditionally, they used to do what's called the zone diet. I don't even want to get into that, is what they would promote. And CrossFit as an organization, CrossFit headquarters, corporate, they've actually started promoting the ketogenic diet. So if you look at any of their new trainings, CrossFit Health, any of their coach training and certification, continuing education programs, things like that, it's all keto, right? Hyman, Fung, intermittent fasting, like there's all sorts of stuff. And you go into the CrossFit, just type in CrossFit Keto now. I have a website, Keto CrossFit, but there's some other stuff that will pop up from CrossFit corporate that's all about keto. So they're starting to realize, hey, this is probably a better way to go. People that have been in CrossFit for a while, CrossFit coaches, gym owners, or whatever else, they will fight tooth and nail that we need carbs to be high activity athletes. We have to do this. We need this. You got to have fiber. And it's like it's crazy seeing CrossFit, who 10 years ago was where keto is now. CrossFit was the young, up and coming, kind of blew up on the market. We do things completely different. We're the rogues. We're going against the grain. We're going to fight against the powers that be in fitness and health, and we're going to change the world. And now those same people are digging into institutionalized traditional nutrition instead of embracing their roots of being the mavericks and being those people going rogue and saying, hey, let's go against the grain. So it's kind of interesting to see that, that evolution of how things work. More and more people are coming over, but within the CrossFit community, I get blasted all the time by people saying that I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm like, okay, I've only been doing it for 4 years, right? I've helped hundreds of people do it too. So I apparently, hey, it is what it is,
Yeah. It is our tendency to think about, even if, we're, helping a lot of people, our tendency is to just look at that one negative feedback that's come through, and just talking about, because there's a lot of people coming up today that's wanting to be coaches, that's changed their life forever, changing other people's lives. I just want to let them know that it comes with the territory, really. And today we have Coach Bronson here talk about it. And all you have to do is just, look at the evidence and look at what it did for you and look at what you're doing for other people. And if people are not willing to listen, and it's because they built their identity within that, and they're not attacking you. I love that you said that they're not attacking you. It's because that they have attached their identity into that lifestyle, and so I love that. And yes, sir.
I say, if you want to be a coach, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about becoming a coach, or you have somebody you want to help, there's a couple things to remember. Number one, you cannot change anybody's mind. It's impossible for you to change somebody's mind. All you can do is stay in your lane, do what you know is working, and then give them an insight into what's happening and why. They have to come to their own conclusions. So you just have, and then because of that, you can't change anybody's mind. You have to be patient and just let it happen. Just perform consistently over time, just like your own journey is going to improve your own health and fitness and quality of life over time, as long as you're consistent and persistent. How you affect and impact other people's lives is only going to happen if you're consistent and persistent and you share your story. I wish more people would get online and share their story.
Absolutely. Do you ever get into those questions? Do you ever reply to those comments?
Negative comments? It depends. If someone's just being a troll, then I usually ignore it. If somebody comments on something that seems like they're actually making a clear, thought through objection, I may respond or send them a message or do whatever else, but I try not to. The way I look at it is, in most cases, like for me on social media is my job. That's my workplace. So if someone comes on, I have no problem deleting a post. If someone comes on into my job, if I owned a pizza place and someone decided to walk into my pizza place and start yelling about how crappy my pizza was, I kick them out of my store.
Yeah.
So I look at my social media the same way. If someone's going to come onto my social media and start talking crap, then I'm just going to delete the post and block them. I don't care. Right? Now, if someone has a legitimate question and wants to have a discourse or conversation, most of the time I'll probably do something quick in a thread. But if they're really serious, then I'll send them a message and have a conversation with them on the side.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to take away from the post, right? You see these threads, one post that someone posts about something, and then you have a thread that's got 800 comments on it, and the whole point of the post is completely lost.
Exactly.
And I don't want that to happen.
Love it. Let's get into the book.
Sure.
I hope we have enough time for that. You started the book with a mindset. Why mindset? What do we don't understand about the journey that mindset is the first thing to improve our quality of life?
Yeah, because your success is all in your head. If you don't think you can do it, then you'll never do it. So understanding why you want to do it and then setting some goals, like I talked about earlier, the why behind your decision to make a change is the most important thing that you need to focus on. You need to keep it in front of you. You need to keep it emotionally attached to your actions, because the challenges that you have, the reason we go off, quote unquote, off plan, it's not because we fall off plan. It's because we're emotionally attached to things in our past that pull us back to a lifestyle that we used to have or that we used to live. And we need our why. The reason we want to have a new lifestyle needs to have an emotional attachment. If it doesn't have an emotional attachment, and what I mean by that is, think about a reason. So for me, my emotional attachment is the experience that I had when watching my grandparents pass, get older and pass, and seeing the deterioration of their life and just how their personal freedoms and physical ability completely just vanished, till they're laying on a bed, face down on a bed, barely able to breathe. And I've got to say goodbye to people that had a huge impact on my life. Going through that process with my grandparents, that every time I think about that, I just get a well of emotion, and I don't ever want to have to go through that again with my parents. I don't want anyone else to have to go through that with their parents or their loved ones. And there's an emotional drive that I get when I think about those things. And that drive will always overcome any desire to do something different than where I'm trying to go.
Man, I love that, because you're starting within yourself to create change in others. You're setting a great example for everyone else to follow, right? You don't have to, they don't have to believe you now. They just need, you just need to show them how you're living your life and how you're thriving. And that's almost always the way to make change in others, is to make a change in yourself first.
Yeah, you got to change yourself first.
Now, I love the exercise that you included in the book, where you're answering questions about understanding your why, and it definitely reinforces, because you were constantly asking why, and you're constantly asking, why is this your why?
Yeah, exactly.
It makes you rethink that if your why is strong enough to withstand the journey at all, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Because most people come in the door and they're like, I want to lose weight. Okay, why do you want to lose weight? Well, I don't like the way I look. Okay, why don't you like the way you look? Well, because when I look at myself in the mirror, I feel depressed. Okay, why does the way you look make you feel depressed? And you could do that over and over and over again until you work into the deep-rooted thing of, every time I wore something, every time I had to buy new clothes,
powerful.
My mom, when I was a kid, my mom would complain about going shopping and say that I was fat. Right? So there's some deep-rooted thing somewhere in the psyche that connects the way she looks with being ridiculed as a kid.
Yeah.
And that connection. So, okay, let's understand what it is. I don't want to feel that way. How do I get around that? What can I do to change that? And that gives you that emotional connection to why you want to make a change. And everyone's going to have a different, deep down rooted reason.
Man, that's powerful. That's when you uncover that real reason why, with all of that layers of your whys. That's powerful, because that's like you said, it's a deep rooted emotion that you have about that certain thing that maybe somebody said to you, or an experience that you had in the past that still controlling you to this day. And it's what making you make bad decision after bad decisions that if you uncover, now you have that ability to go back to that, or if you feel that emotion again that's coming up, now you can link to that one time, that experience or what somebody said to you.
And it doesn't even have to be like when you were a kid, right? It could be something that's current. So one of my driving factors when I first made this transition was the woman that I was seeing at the time. We had a conversation about how she's like, I love you, I want to be with you, but I don't feel like you have any desire to improve yourself. I feel like you're comfortable where you are and you're not trying to become better. And that was one of the triggers. That was one of the things that got me starting to think about, okay, who am I? Am I the person I want to be? Is my lifestyle, my identity matching, things like that? And that impetus, one of those things was, I don't want to disappoint this person. I don't want to lose this relationship. And if I don't make a change, then that's probably what's going to happen. So it doesn't have to be something that's, 30, 40, 50 years ago from when you were a kid. It could be something that's currently in your face right now. But connect to it and use it as a driving force, get that emotion attached to it, and make a change.
Man, because you're not in alignment with your whole self. Your goals or what you're doing, your decisions, you're not in alignment with who you want to be. Correct. That's why.
Unhappiness is living outside your identity. Happy people are living the lifestyle that they envision for themselves. Unhappy people are not living the lifestyle that they envision for themselves. If you see yourself as X, but you're living Y, you're not going to be a happy person.
That's powerful. Yeah, that's why you have to know your goals. You have to be in alignment with those goals to be able to achieve those goals. Because if you're not, you're just living through a lens that you're never going to be able to fulfill if you don't start out in, going towards that and becoming in alignment with yourself. That's amazing, man. Losing weight, feeling better, having that support system, that guidance to get through that transition, having a coach that holds you accountable gives you a higher chance of achieving that goal. And as a coach, I want to ask you, you had an experience, you have a decade of experience teaching people about setting realistic goals for yourself, for themselves, maybe for other people. What is the importance of knowing what you're working for and where you're going to start the journey?
Yeah. So you can't get anywhere without a map. So you can't measure your success. You can't determine what kind of progress you're making or what kind of changes need to be made. You can't set a plan in place if you don't know where you're going. So nothing works without a goal. So the goal has to be tied with the why. So if you look at this as levels, you identify what your why is. You get that emotional connection to what your driving force is going to be for you to make a change and sustain that change. Then you find some things that are steps along the way that you can verify. If I do this, I will be closer to realizing that why or that reality in my life. Okay. So that could be getting stronger in a specific strength goal. That could be a body fat goal. That could be a muscle mass goal. That could be an activity. I want to be able to hike X trail within a certain amount of time within the next 6 months. Right. So goals are, I don't know if you've heard of SMART goals, right? So they're things that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. So you are specific. I'm going to do X, Y, or Z. I'm going to do it within this time frame. I'm going to be able to tell that I was successful because this is what's going to happen when I do it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it directly applies to my why because of X, Y, or Z. So putting these things together, your goals are what allow you to connect your actions to your why. They're the gap. So when you're going out to a party and you have an option of fasting because there's nothing in that party you want to eat, or going or eating beforehand, or going to the party and eating food that's probably going to be off plan, you have to check your goal. Check your goal against the decision. My goal is to lose 15 pounds of body fat. Okay, if I go to this party and I fast, is that going to help me lose 50 pounds of body fat? Probably. If I go to the party and I eat, is that going to help me lose 50 pounds of body fat? Probably not. Do I really want my goal or not? Now you know which way to go. If you don't have those goals, you have nothing to check your actions against. So that's one of the importance of the goals. And then the other goals are short-term goals, long-term goals. We can get into a bunch of details about all that, but then you have the goals where you're like, okay, what is my progress over the last 4 months? How close am I to reaching X, Y, or Z goal? And then if I'm not making progress, if I'm trending the opposite direction, now I can look at, okay, I'm not going where I want to go. What changes do I need to make this move towards that instead of away from that? So goals are everything. Goals are everything. They tie all of it together.
What's an example of a long-term goal for you?
A long-term goal? Being able to walk a 5K or run a 5K. Somebody who's not done anything. I have people all the time that come to me like, hey, I've never done any physical activity. Okay, great. This time next year, let's set a goal for you to run a 5K. Let's get you working, and that's a goal. So then in the interim, we have short-term goals that are, let's get you out of the house and doing some physical activity. Let's get you walking. And then we build up and we set different goals that can be benchmarks, So at some point in time, maybe 6 months in, they're able to walk a 1K. Maybe 8 months in, they're able to run a 1K. Maybe 10 months in, they're able to run, 1.5, something like that. And we work up to those things and set goals that kind of step along towards that ultimate goal.
Do you set the goals for them, or do you ask them first?
Nope. It's goals. Why, your goals, all that stuff has got to come from you. I help guide them and give them some options and maybe help them think of some things they may not have thought about that could be goals.
Yeah.
But the goals have to come from the individual.
Yeah. We may have an idea of what healthy looks like, right? We tend to associate that with overall health. Like, what does getting healthy really looks like or feel like apart from the mirror or scale? Because most of the people coming through keto, most of them are finding keto through weight loss or, a tool to lose some weight for maybe a show or for the summer. Yeah. What is another way to gauge our overall health for you?
Physical freedom. That's it. That's what it's all about. You can have all the best markers in the world. Your A1C can be great. Your cholesterol can be great. Your C-reactive protein can be great. Any blood work you get can be fantastic. But if you can't get off the couch and go play with your grandkids, who cares? That's not health. That's some numbers on a piece of paper. Health is the ability to live your life and do the things that you want to do when you want to do them. Period. And you need nutrition and you need fitness in order to do that.
That means you have to be in tune with your body, knowing your body, knowing you got to get in sync with what your why is, your goal, and having that measurable goal like we talked about in the beginning. And
what it means, you also have to use your body.
Yeah.
Fitness, a lot of people think that fitness is something that people do in the gym, and it's the other way around. The stuff that we do in the gym is so that we can be fit and live our lives. Nothing we do in the gym has anything to do with what we do in the gym. It has everything to do with what we're doing outside of the gym. So the activities that you train, the activities that you do in your fitness routine should enable you to live a better life. Nutrition helps your body process nutrients, and it's like, here's an example I like to use. If I take my car to the garage and I go to the mechanic and I say, hey, could you please fix my car? It's not working the way I want it to work. Performance is bad on this car. And he looks at it, he does some analysis, and he goes, well, you've been putting crappy, old, bad gas in your car. Right? That's nutrition. That's standard American diet. So if we take that gas out, we put good, high octane, fuel in that car is going to perform better. Okay? Because I fixed the way the car is processing its energy and using the nutrients that I'm putting into it. If you look at gas as a nutrient. Okay? If I change the oil, it's going to run better. If I take care of the things that have nothing to do with the mechanical function, but have everything to do with how the mechanics function. Say that 10 times fast. Okay? Then the car is going to perform better. But I haven't changed anything physically with the car. I just changed fluids. Right? That's nutrition. Fitness is changing the belts, changing the brake pads, changing the spark plugs, getting new tires, making sure that the engine's tuned, getting the timing belt adjusted, right? All of the things that actually impact the function of the car and the engine and the inner workings of how that car actually works. That's fitness. So you can't have a sports car where the only thing you do is ever worry about fluids, right? You got to take care of both in order to be successful. So 6-packs can be made in the kitchen, and losing body fat is 80%, 90% nutrition. Living a good, healthy, full, sustainable quality of life with no physical limitations requires both fitness and nutrition.
It comes first with discovering your why, setting our goals, setting the right goals that fits our lifestyle, that fits, that makes us move into learning about fitness. And I love that you said that everything we do in the gym, it's not about the gym. It's about living your life outside of it.
Yep.
And being able to run around, do what you want to do. Maybe longevity is your goal. And then you start there with nutrition and fueling yourself with the best nutrition for your body to be able to function well.
Yeah.
And you figure all of that out. What's next? How about?
Yeah.
How
then
do you
need
approach?
a plan. Then you need a plan, right? So you've got your why, you've set some goals. Now you got to figure out, okay, how do I get to these? Like, what happens? How do I do this? So we're on, ketones and coffee. So we're talking ketogenic diet. So from a nutrition perspective, ketogenic diet is the way to go when it comes to quality of life. I firmly believe that. Now, there's a bunch of different ways that you can do keto. And if you talk to 8 different people, I actually saw somebody post the other day. They said, I'm doing the Fung Boz Berry keto. And I'm like, what? They put Dr. Fung, Dr. Boz, and Dr. Berry all into one word. And they're like, I'm doing the Fung Boz Berry keto. I'm like, oh my gosh. But the funny thing is, I know exactly what that person's doing by them doing that, right? It was just kind of hilarious. So there's so many people out there talking about different ways to do keto. So do some research, find out what way resonates with you and you feel like can work for you, and then try it for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And then if you need to tweak something, then tweak something. But definitely it can be a challenge when it comes to your nutrition plan with so much information out there, knowing who to follow and where to go. I say listen to a bunch of people, find somebody that you resonate with, and then stick with them for 3 to 6 months. See if that works. If the stuff that they're saying is working for you, then fantastic. At some point, you may need to find someone else, but keep doing what's working until it's not working, and then find someone else to talk to and change it and whatever else. Now, you could also get a coach. That's what I do. That's what a lot of people, there's tons of coaches out there. Find a coach that you resonate with, whose message sounds like it applies to your situation, and work with a coach. So there's a bunch of different ways on the nutrition side to find a plan. On the fitness side, same thing. There's online things, there's gyms you can go to, and the process is very similar. Find somebody, find a coach or a program that you feel you can continually do, that you're going to enjoy, that's going to give you, here's the one thing that's a little different when it comes to fitness, is we need to understand that there are 20 different aspects to fitness, right? We have physiological, biological, and neurological aspects to our bodies that when we do exercise, these are impacted. So without getting too much into those, there's energy systems and movement patterns, how our body moves. And there are aspects of things like strength, endurance, stamina, that when we talk about fitness, what are we talking about? What are we trying to improve? So those all need to be included in whatever plan you're doing. So if your plan for fitness is just to get on a cardio machine and do cardio 5 days a week, that's not fitness. Okay? It needs to include moving your body, managing how your body uses different types of fuel for energy, managing different aspects of fitness. Like you need to be getting stronger, but you also need to be getting more flexible. So there's a bunch of things that go into that. So finding a coach or a program that helps you get that broad range of what we call functional fitness, that you feel you can enjoy the process and get the help and support that you need from the coach.
Yeah. And, enjoying the process, I think it's a huge thing that plays into, a sustainable lifestyle, because you can't overwhelm yourself with a lot of these things. And, and if you're not enjoying the process, then you're bound to, hit a roadblock, because if you're not enjoying it, then you're not interested enough to keep going.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So
yeah, it shouldn't be stressful.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be stressful. It shouldn't be complicated. The whole process that we're going through, right, is trying to make our lives better. So if what you're doing is adding stress, then you need to rethink what you're doing, because it shouldn't be adding stress to your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where coaching comes from. And that's where coaching is great, because you are able to now follow a regimen that's that will fit your lifestyle, that will fit your obviously where you're coming from. We all come from different places, we all come from different backgrounds, and we have to figure out what works for you and what you enjoy, and obviously what overwhelm is different for other people, right? Some people are require high intensity. Some people needs to ease their way into nutrition, into keto a little bit. Give them a little bit of education about what keto is, and what we have different goals, we have different mindset coming into this. So it's I think for me is important to understand that sustainability is more important. Is thinking about that every time, every decision that you make. Is it sustainable for me? Is this do I enjoy doing this? And I like what you said, like after a few months, think about is this something that you want to continue, or do you want to change your who you listen to completely? Right. Somebody that maybe resonates with where you're coming from. That's why we're here, Coach, because we talk about our stories, our relationship before keto, that may resonate with our listeners today. And I think your message is so important, that you were able to come on here and share your story here, because maybe someone out there's have the same story like you, right? Somebody that we can impact, and start their own journey finally.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, who knows who's out there? I think that's one of the reasons I want everybody to start sharing their story. I wish I could just email blast the world and say, look, if you're doing this, share your story and let people know that you're doing this, because there's so many different voices, and there's so many different people with backgrounds and experiences and different issues that are doing it, that are having success, that people need to know about it. So share your story. If you're listening to this, go post somewhere about how keto is helping you. Yeah,
amazing. And let's talk about your coaching a little bit.
Okay.
We have a little bit of time. Talk about your first week with your client. What do you go through with your client? How do they get the most out of your system?
Yeah, so most of what I'm doing right now actually is I do one-on-one coaching, but primarily I do 10-week challenges. So I have a challenge where we get people in. I'm partnered with InBody. I don't know if you know InBody, body composition scanners. So I'm partnered with them. They actually provide devices for people. We do a 10-week challenge where it's a combination of learning about my methodology and protocols from a nutrition perspective, using my fitness app for fitness for the 10 weeks, and having the community support of everyone else that's in the challenge to say, hey, look, you can do this. This is how it works. We get on calls every week as a group and just kind of go through some topics of education about keto and fitness, working through the challenges that people have in identifying how to make these changes sustainable. Everybody starts off great, and then 2 weeks in, it's, well, I kind of felt like I wanted this, so I went off track here, and then we get into, working with me and working in the challenge, or even as a personal one-on-one client, a lot of the topics and discussions is me asking why. Why did you make that decision? What was the thought process that goes behind that? What are you trying to do? Where are you trying to go? How did this decision help your progress or hurt your progress? And it's helping people understand. I want people to understand the process of how to manage their own fitness and nutrition, but also to be in touch mentally with where they are and be aware with why they're making the decisions they're making. Because when you're not with me, you need to have some control and awareness. Awareness is key, and a lot of what I coach is just being aware of what your brain is doing.
Yeah,
So the specifics of fitness and nutrition are pretty basic. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
You know, you get the thing at the beginning. Here's what you're doing for nutrition. Here's what you're doing for fitness.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now it's the mental game of staying on track, right? The plan is simple. It's the mind that makes things complicated. That's why mindset is so important.
That's why discovering that why is so powerful, because every time you think about, you know, before you make that bad decision, you ask yourself again, like, why am I doing this? Is this worth it? Is this if I do something, if maybe if I eat off program, is this something that would help me towards my goal? And if you have that why, then you have that answer all the time. It keeps you going. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been a blast, and coming on and sharing your story, Coach. I really appreciate you. And where can they find you, Coach?
Yeah, so you can find my website is ultimateketogenicfitness.com. I have a YouTube channel, which is the same, Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness on YouTube. And my Instagram is Coach_Bronson_keto.
Awesome. And they can get your book through Amazon?
You get the book on Amazon, the Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness book. Yep.
Awesome. We're going to link everything down below so you guys can check that out. Once again, Coach Bronson, amazing.
Thanks for having me on,
so
man.
much.
Appreciate it.